All right, guys. So, welcome to the Mastering You podcast and welcome to episode one. So, today in the first episode, I just figured what I really wanted to do was just take some time to just set the intention of what this podcast is going to be about, and also what you guys can expect from me and this podcast, because the way I'm going to run it is going to be much different from the way most people run their podcasts. And it's also going to be talking about things that are not commonly talked about in the world. So, so just to start off, the intention of this podcast is to reconnect people to their healthiest bodies, to connect them to their loving hearts and their most fulfilling lives. So we'll be doing that through obviously every single episode. So that's what you can expect to hear from me. And I'm going to be talking about like specifically what topics you can expect. So I really want to just go ahead and go into like what you can expect from this podcast. But even more so, I think is probably most important is what what not to expect from this podcast. Okay. So most people have been, conditioned to for podcasts to be released every single week or bi-weekly or something like that, or on some type of scheduled timeline. So you can don't expect that from me, because I want to be an example of how to live your life, how to create a joyous life, how to create a fulfilling life, how to create an effortless life. And one of the things that many people do is they create these routines in their life where they have to put out a podcast every week, or they have to accomplish a certain morning routine every single day, or they have to do, I don't know, XYZ on a daily basis or on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis. Like there's these very structured ways of being, and structure is good, but um, you want to be able to adjust your structure. So for example, like, if you have a morning routine, it's okay to have that morning routine. What you want to be able to do is adjust what you do in that morning routine, how long that morning routine is, as opposed to forcing yourself to do it every single time, because then it just becomes super heavy. You create a lot of resistance. And this is when we start to get out of flow and we start to like force ourselves to go through the morning routine. So, how that applies to the podcast, um, I'm not going to be putting out an episode every single week. It's going to be more based on how I feel and when I want to. So, sometimes I might post a podcast 3 times a week, or maybe it's just going to be once a month. So, and again, this is to be an example of, how to follow your heart, how to listen to, where your energy is flowing. Because when you make things so structured and so routine based, all of a sudden that gets super heavy, whether that be working out or doing a podcast or, um, you know, having a certain way, like anything in your life, doing laundry or washing your car, like any of that stuff. Um, all of a sudden that becomes the thing that actually creates more stress, because it's like you find yourself having to force yourself to do things when you don't really want to do them. And that's the last thing I want with this podcast. This is my, this work is my passion, and I want it to remain my passion, as opposed to it being just another job or another task that I quote unquote have to do, right? That I've created for myself. So, and that's where, we are supposed to be in flow. We are not supposed to be linear. That linear idea, that idea of like, I have to do things a certain way every single week. I have to post, on Instagram every single day at a certain time. I have to post a podcast. I have to, work out a certain time every single day. I have to work out this way. I have to, do this morning routine every single day. Like that is, again, what creates a lot of tension, a lot of heaviness, a lot of stress, and ultimately becomes, with when people overload their schedule with those kind of things, all of a sudden your life becomes just kind of like super heavy, like just trying to get through it. So that's not what I want to create. We're supposed to be in flow. We're supposed to follow our heart, and follow our energy, where our energy is being drawn towards on a moment to moment basis. And this is how you create an effortless and very fulfilling life. So with that said, don't expect scheduled release dates. Like I said, I may post 3 times a week. I may post once a month. It really depends on how I feel and what is coming through me. Um, Also, don't expect certain time lengths. I know certain episodes or certain podcasts, they may, they're like strictly about 10-minute podcasts because that's what their audience wants to digest. Um, or some people do, like Logan does like 2 or 3 hours, right? I am just going to do what I feel, depending on what is flowing through me that day for that topic. It may be 10 minutes and it may be 2 hours. This podcast is, yes, for you, right? It is to help others like create, you know, um, become their best selves and create their best lives. But more importantly, this is for me. Like, this is my passion. I do this because I love it. And I encourage, again, I want to be an example for you guys that anything that you do it for yourself first. Because as soon as you start doing it for clients or for other people, again, that's when it starts to become super heavy. So, if you're a 10-minute kind of podcaster person, great. Well, you can just listen to my podcast in 10-minute increments, because whatever is flowing through me, I want to, there's going to be a lot of energy in there, a lot of passion, and I'm going to follow that for as long as it's there. And you can expect me to, like really, put out quality information and really put out things that I feel are resonating in the world today. So yeah. The next thing is that I want to say is don't expect your life to change just by listening to the podcast. So everybody like understands this, but yet they continue to just be information junkies of just listening to podcasts and learning more and learning more and learning more, as opposed to really stop learning, and really doing the work, on your own. And so I really encourage you to listen to the podcast when you get the time, when you feel it, and then allow yourself time to actually implement the things that I'm talking about from the podcast, as opposed to just skipping on to the next to a new podcast or the next episode. That will just keep you an information junkie. You'll understand everything. You'll understand what I'm talking about. You'll know it all, but you won't be able to experience the bliss that I'm actually talking about. You won't be able to experience the effortless life that I'm talking about. You won't be able to experience the vitality in your body that I'm talking about, because you're always going to be in a constant consuming mode of learning more, doing the next thing, as opposed to really stopping, turning off all music, all podcasts, all of it, and going within yourself and really taking that time to do the inner work. Okay. Um, so I'm going to be giving you guys the secrets to a happy, fit, and very fulfilling and effortless life. But nothing will change if you remain an information junkie, if you continue to just consume information. In order for your life to become different, we must create space up in the head, up in the mind. And if your mind is full of information, of podcasts, of thinking, of worrying, of overthinking, then you will never bridge that gap from where you are to a more peaceful, effortless, fulfilling life. Okay. Also, for the fourth thing, don't expect guest appearances on this podcast. To tell you the truth, like, I haven't come across that many people that know what I'm about to share with you on this podcast. And the ones that do know, they're typically not the ones that really care to get on a podcast. They're not after attention. They're not after fame. They're not, they just have no interest in that. So if I find a guest that I believe is going to be beneficial for you and it really has something special to share and offer, and they're willing to share their wisdom, then I will go ahead and I'll have them as a guest. But from my experience, a lot of what people are saying out there in the podcasting world, especially in the health and fitness world, which is where I come from, um, they aren't sharing anything enlightening. They aren't sharing anything profound. They aren't sharing anything that actually creates a more empowering and stress free, effortless way of living. It doesn't create a more fulfilling life. Instead they're telling us how we should eat and how we need to work out and what we should do, and that's not very fulfilling, or that's not very empowering. My goal is to get you to become to trust yourself, to really trust the way, to trust yourself on how to eat, trust yourself on how to work out, trust yourself on how to live. And I'll give you the tools and the wisdom to do that. But all of this is going to, what's most important is that you actually take this information, process it yourself, and really take time to think and reflect for yourself. Does this make sense? And how can I apply this to my life? As opposed to just regurgitating what I say or what other people say, and trying to implement into your life. Because that's typically what's going on with so many people these days, is they're just like listening to information on podcasts and regurgitating what they say and not really taking the time to process whether that makes sense for them. Does it make sense for me to fast for 16 hours? Has that worked in the past? Is that improving my relationship with food, or is it making it worse? Does it make sense for me to CrossFit every, I don't know, like every day? Or it doesn't make sense for me to lift weights. Is it something that my heart is calling for? Does it make me happy? Or is it causing me to feel tired and causing pain in my body? Like, we have to take that time to really process and see if it doesn't make sense. Is it serving my life and what I want? Um so yeah, I just wanted to share that, from what most people are telling you, how to eat, how to live, how to work out, and that you don't know how to do that for yourself. And I'm flipping that script, and I'm going to teach you that you know everything. You just need to develop and train the skills to listen, to know how to trust yourself. And that way you don't need to rely on anybody to for answers on how to live your life and how to feel your best. And oftentimes, from my experience with podcasts, um, the purpose of having guests on podcasts is mainly to, cross pollinate, like the following, their followers, and to gain more followers, essentially. It's like, if I have a guest appearance on my podcast, like, the reason why they're typically doing that, most of them, not all of them, it's mainly a self-driven, um, like a fear-based driven intention, right? It's because I want to gain more followers. I want more attention. I want more eyes on me. If I have this guest on, then their followers will follow me, and vice versa. And there's nothing wrong with that, except for when it comes to, oh, I'm just having this guest on just so I can get more clients, just so I can get more fame or more attention. Um, and I don't know, I'm just personally not, I'm not about that. I'm about just sharing what is true to my heart, my experience, and sharing, if I feel like somebody's going to benefit, like truly benefit my audience, then I'm going to go ahead and have them on as a guest, um, as opposed to just doing it for attention reasons, or to, for the intention to hopefully get more clients or something like that. Because that really goes against my beliefs on how we should really be living our lives. So those are the 4 things of what not to expect. Don't expect scheduled release dates. Don't expect specific time lengths on the episodes. Don't expect your life to change just by listening. You must do. And don't expect guest appearances. Okay. Okay. And then lastly, I just want to talk about the topics to expect from this podcast. So the things that I'll be talking about, it's going to be very broad. It's not going to be like, it's going to be anything and everything, whatever's flowing through me that day. But for example, some things that you can expect is in relation to like food, exercise, creating more joy in your life, etc. You can expect to learn like how to stop overeating, how to stop binging patterns, how to get yourself to choose healthy foods, how to break free of diet plans and macro tracking and these food structures of like, learning how, or feeling like you need to fast for a certain amount of time or eat at certain times, or eat certain portions, or certain, like, all the rules around food. You can, how to break free from all of that, how to trust yourself around food. You can expect to learn how to create a sustainable exercise routine. I'll be talking about how to make exercise something you look forward to doing instead of something that you feel like you have to do. Um, how to know when it's time to rest, what to do on your rest days. I'll be talking about things like how to break free of the rat race of, living life in a constant state of anxiety and overwhelm, rushing, chasing, always seeking, always needing to do, right? Always being busy, how to break free of that. Um, how to stop overthinking, how to create more peace in your life, how to feel good all of the time, how to not be so easily bothered or agitated by other people around you. Um, how to increase your energy, how to feel like abundant amount of energy in your life, how to handle bad days, how to have more good days and less bad days, how to create effortless living, how to connect to your purpose in life, and how to manifest anything you want in life. So, I mean, I can go on forever. So the topics are endless, they're limitless actually, and but does just kind of, this is what self-mastery is learning how to master your everything, right? Everything in your life. How to master your body, how to master your mind, how to master your relationships, how to master yourself around food, with exercise, with your energy, um, all of it. Okay, so that's what we're going to be talking about on this podcast, and I'm super excited to get started. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Usually, the best way is probably Instagram. I'm super active on Instagram, so you can just give me a follow there, send me a message regarding anything. And you can also check out my website to learn more about my programs or to schedule a free consult call with me. And that's at natalienewhart.health. Okay, so I'll post all the links below, and I'm looking forward to being on this journey with you. Much, much love, and we'll see you guys later.